Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about what I was like prior to the stroke, which is something I get asked quite a lot. Talk about that a bit, and plumbing. I absolutely love plumbing. I'll talk about how I used to be a plumber, a really good plumber. So after high school, I didn't get a very good score, so no university was interested in looking at me, and I wasn't really interested in studying at all. I thought I'd be a tradesman or something, but I wasn't sure which one to pick, so I bounced around for a couple of years and did some factory work and just some temporary work and enjoyed that. My everyday car, my Datsun 120Y, is getting an overhaul today, so I'm stuck at the park for a few hours. I thought I'd make a video. So when I got to about 20, I kind of had a sit down with Dad and said, what should I do? Which direction should I go? Should I continue doing factory work or should I get a trade? What should I do? And he said, if he had his time again, he'd be a plumber. So I got the yellow pages out, the business directory, and I called every plumber in the area until I got a job. I must have called about 30 plumbers and just crossed them out one by one, finally got a job. The place I started at was a really established plumbing company. It had been in the same family for about 4 or 5 generations, and it was really established, so it was quite daunting going there at 6 o'clock in the morning on your first day, and there's 30 or 40 plumbers just running around like a busy beehive and not knowing what to do. But I absolutely loved plumbing. I loved getting up early every day. I did a bit of everything. I started off in residential, then made my way to commercial, then to hydraulic design and inspecting. The apprenticeship was pretty brutal. The language use on Australian work sites was pretty bad. You get yelled and screamed at a lot for about 3 or 4 years, but you put up with it and it gives you thicker skin, and you end up passing a little bit of it back on to other people. I remember meeting my boss for the first time, who was probably about 60 at the time, still running a really big business, and I gave him my resume and he threw it on the table and said, I'm not interested in that. What can you do with your hands? Because I started plumbing later, probably about 3rd year, I was given a van and sent to jobs on my own, which was pretty good because I was a little bit more mature than the rest of them. Just having started that 2 years later really helped understand the plumbing field and understand how business works. My boss mainly took on residential stuff, but then he took on some commercial work, and since I was the leading hand of the company, I put my hand up to kind of manage the commercial side of the business. I flew through the trade school. I was terrible at mathematics at school, but when it came to gas sizing mathematics and roofing and drainage and venting, I just understood it straight away. So I flew through trade school in about 1.5 years instead of 3 years. I took the plumbing exams and nailed them on the first go, so it was really good. Basically, as soon as I finished my apprenticeship, I was already running 20, 30-story buildings and designing it all myself, so I decided to start going to plumbing night school, which I kind of paid for out of my own pocket, to learn to design and get licensed in every plumbing field there is. So this was probably the year leading up to my stroke. So there was trade school, or like licensed plumbing school, twice a week in the city, kickboxing twice a week, running every night after work, training for a marathon. Most of my weekends were running. I had a 3-month-old baby, so playing with him a lot, working 10-hour days and then going to school for 4 or 5 hours. I absolutely loved learning how to design. So they ran a course called Pipeline Design, which is the old version of how to hydraulic design plumbing for major construction. So I did that course, and that gave me a qualification basically as a hydraulic engineer. So I got that a month before the stroke. I secured a job as a hydraulic engineer and drafting designer. I had a stroke on the Friday and I was supposed to start work on Monday, so I never got to do it. That was really hard to swallow, like doing plumbing for 10 years and all the night school, getting licensed in every single field, doing the giant pipeline design course and understanding venting, and then having a stroke and not being able to do any of it at all. There's nothing like a stroke to really ruin your career. I worked for the same company basically the entire apprenticeship and the after apprenticeship, the tradesman side of it, because most of the tradesmen stick around that company. They paid well, they pay regularly, and There was no pressure to get things done in time. Everything was done perfectly. Every plumbing aspect of the house was perfection. Nothing less than perfection was acceptable. So that was really good to learn how to be efficient, how to be an efficient plumber, but also a really good one at the same time. I've got 3 kids and I'd be so proud if one of them was a plumber. It'd really make my day. If you are a young plumber, get your head around venting really early. Ask your boss everything he knows about venting, because it's probably the most crucial thing when it comes to plumbing inspecting. I was offered a job as a plumbing inspector because he saw my design work and thought it was all perfect. So I was offered a job at that, but I had a stroke, so I wasn't able to start the job. So if you are a young plumber, ask your boss about fully vented systems and fully vented modified systems. It's really important to know the difference and where to put a vent. Get venting under your belt really quickly, because that's the hardest thing to understand about plumbing. So the book I was reading, people say that, oh, why were you different before the stroke? How are you different? I don't really know. You're going to have to ask my ex-wife. The book I was reading when I had the stroke was The Moral Landscape by Sam Harris, and that's not an entry-level book into neuroscience and cognitive thinking. So I was already headed that way. I was halfway through the book when I had the stroke, so I was already kind of headed that way, the way I'm heading now. So I couldn't say I'm too different in that way. I used to kind of be interested in football and stuff like that. I couldn't care less about sport now. It's just more about reading books and psychology and stuff. The book I'm reading at the moment is The Waste Makers. Brilliant book, written in '59. All these tabs, if I find something profound, I put a tab there and then I highlight it so I know if I need to cite it one day where I got the quote from. I hope you really enjoyed the video today, guys. Just a little bit of background into who I was before the stroke and who I am now. As I said, I've got 3 kids. I'm renovating the oldest house in my favourite town in Melbourne. Halfway through a degree in counselling, so I can be a counsellor one day. And yeah, renovating a house. I'm really busy at the moment, so I hope you really enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. I'll see you when I'm looking at you.